The Search Podcast USA Edition series is sponsored by PGC. PGC are the longest serving employer of record in North America and can compliantly engage contractors across both the US and Canada on behalf of staffing and recruitment businesses. Our turnkey solution offers a unique access point to the largest staffing market in the world. To find out more, visit us at pgcgroup.com.
Hi everybody, welcome back to a new episode of the Search Podcast. I'm Elliott Manning, the Managing Director of Cayman Recruitment. This week I've got a very special guest with me. I know I probably said it every week, but every week it gets more special. So I'm with Logan from Kernel Global, who I will leave you to introduce yourself, mate, and tell the audience a bit about yourself.
I bet you say that to all the recruitment consultants, Elliott.
I try not to, but I can't help it.
Look, great to chat. So I'm Logan Naidu, founder and group CEO of Kernel Global. We've got 3 sub-brands. We're running a multi-brand, multi-niche approach. So we've got Dartmouth Partners, which is the business that I founded, which focuses on private equity and advisory in the high growth and P-backed world. We've got Pure Search, which is a corporate functions business, and we've got newly launched Catalyst Partners, which is a business focused on the transformational HR space.
Fantastic. So for those that don't know you, Logan, in a sense of kind of how big and how, successful the company is, can you give us a bit of a background on the business, like, where you're located? Obviously, this is, about the US, but it'd be good to get an overview of the size of the business and kind of where you guys are at.
Sure. I mean, look, we're a mid-sized business. So we've been through TP transactions, closed one out last year, which is our second one. We're about 200 heads, running at about 50 million NFI and 10 million pound profits. Offices in London, Hong Kong, Frankfurt, and 2 in America, 1 in New York, 1 in Charlotte. But very kind of you to say we're big and successful, but I kind of view us as a startup actually. Although we're 11 years old, still like to view us as a startup. Yeah, I like the hustle and pace for startups, so I don't want us to lose that DNA.
No, fair enough. I mean, I think you guys are perceived, in my opinion, a lot, bigger in a way as who you guys are as a company. And especially what you've done with the events as well is been pretty, incredible stuff. So that's kind of why I suppose I look at you as a bigger outfit. We'll stick with that. In terms of, where you guys are at with the US, you mentioned New York, you mentioned Charlotte. How long have you been operating in the States now?
We've been in New York for about 3 years. Pure have been a bit longer, and Charlotte we launched 18 months ago to seed it probably at the worst time possible. But we've got through it, and actually it's started to come on tap very nicely this year. So we got our timing spot on. But we've been over there probably about 3.5 years now.
How have you found the journey so far? Obviously, it's been up and down the industry and the markets, and doing the US is never easy for anybody. So how have you found it, as a company?
Yeah, I think it's if I still describe us as a startup, the one thing that where we're not a startup is over in London, where it's a more mature business. In the US, I think it's like building a brand new business within a business, isn't it? The highs are really high and the lows are really low. I say that about all our international offices, kind of like frontier markets. It's like being back at the beginning again. Every win really, really matters. Every loss is like a dagger to your heart. And it's you either love that adrenaline rush or you don't, and it's not for the faint-hearted. And the way I describe the US, it's a bit like British bands, right? You could either be the Beatles or Oasis. Everyone goes over thinking they're going to be the Beatles. Quite a few end up like Oasis, and I'm a massive Oasis fan. But giving away my vintage here. But it's a hard market to crack.
Yeah, it's what is there anything in particular that you went over there and thought, this part of our US growth or expansion has been our biggest challenge for us, and whether it's clients or candidates or personnel, is there anything in particular that you can identify as being something you never expected, but has been a big problem?
I'll give the view of certainly our experience and also what I think is received wisdom. We go over from our little market thinking we're someone or something, and you go over to America and everything you're told is, American recruitment's really unsophisticated, they don't know how to do it, it's a massive market, which it is, it's a trader's market, and you go over and you start making phone calls, and people will always take a meeting. And I remember my very first trip over, probably about a decade ago now, and I had 3 days of really good meetings. And then I had dinner with I think he was the UK partner of a British partner of Hydrix, and he said he already had a few to drink, but he said let's have a chat. He said, don't tell me you've had 3 days of really good meetings, and everyone's told you how much business you're going to get out of them. I can tell you now, they won't remember you in 6 months' time. I remember feeling kind of quite low after that. He said, you're going to spend $3 million getting this up and running, because that's the number that everyone basically spends to get up and running. And I went back with my tails between my legs back to the UK, having a think about it. We took a couple more years to kind of plot our entry, but that's been our journey. You go over and everyone goes, average recruiters in the UK will become great recruiters in the US. It is. It's a lot more difficult than that, right? Yes, the size of market is a lot bigger. The speed of the market is faster. The size of every deal, because of salaries, is better, and you can trade quite aggressively. But you've got to tune into that market where the starting point is, honestly, they'll be polite to you, but they don't really care who you are till you actually show them some product. And you've got to get that into your psyche. We Brits, to caricature and characterize an entire nation of recruiters, we like to play by the rules, right? We kind of do what we're told. Very usefully, TA tells us to do something, or pootle away and go and do something. By the time we've done it in the States, someone's already beaten you, because they're faster, hungrier, more aggressive, gets the answer, and there's a lot of nous there. And you've got to dial into that market really quickly, because over the years, and you'll know far more than this than I will, Elliott, but there've been a lot of people that have gone over to the States saying, here come the Brits, and been a hasty retreat after a couple of years.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's been a lot of money spent by British recruiters that are pretty big deals over here, but can't crack it. So I think the thing you've got to do is adjust it. It is all those things, which is why we keep trying to go after it, in terms of the size of the pie is very large. And if you can grab a slice of it, happy days, but you've got to do it differently.
Would you agree in the sense of and my view on it is, and it's kind of developed over the last few years of doing it, is that it's all about being patient and persistent in the US, and that's it. I think ultimately, if you're looking at going over there with an aggressive plan or without a plan and kind of thinking that it's going to work because it worked in the UK, then that's not always going to be the case. But if you stick to a process that is structured in the US and you keep that patience and persistence of doing it, it will come good. I think that's kind of something that a lot of my clients have seen. A lot of businesses, they've gone over to the US, they've kind of gone in aggressively, have got absolutely nowhere, and thought it was always going to work that way. And, they've kind of seen that, unfortunately, it's never the case. But the firms that I've seen more successful are those that have kind of reinvested, stayed with it, stuck with it, learned, dealt with their challenges, and actually used that to their advantage to do things in a way that actually works better. But that does take that period of patience to do so.
Yeah. I mean, look, you've inadvertently articulated, I think, how you build a recruitment business full stop, right? You've got to, and your plan's got to be adapted for different market you go into. But I don't think anyone sets up a recruitment company over in the UK and says, we're going to be big or successful day one. If you typically come from another firm and you've got a market that yes, you can start to trade and become kind of fairly successful relatively quickly, but you don't build anything of scale or meaning really, really quickly, right? Or of substance. And so why would it be any different in America or anywhere else? I think you've got to have a plan. You've got to commit to that plan. That plan will need to evolve, and you'll need to pivot a few times till you get it right properly. And you've got to be patient and persistent, right? And I think, again, we hear of all these great stories about how you can kind of crack America, but it's a competitive market and a more expensive market to do business in. So you will burn up cash whilst you're trying to work it out, and that's it takes courage and commitment.
Yeah, that's probably another better way to summarize it. Is having that courage and ability to wait it out, because you are going to burn a lot of money, but it will come good if you stay with it. I think a lot of people panic, and a lot of people aren't prepared to put their hands in their pockets in the US because it is very expensive. It's 2-3 times more than what you probably have to pay for in the UK. But the value's there long term, and you've got to look at that long term goal.
I don't think anyone should go there thinking they're going to dabble. So that third bit, we said courage and commitment. You need cash, right? And you need to be willing to underwrite it. And I think we've seen over the years lots of people that seem to have got it right quite quickly, but it's so fragile till you get some scale into it. And you've got to, be prepared to really sink in, proper investment of time and money. And you can't dabble with it because it is a competitive market, as we've already said.
Absolutely. So you guys have made some incredibly good hires. You've attracted some, some really, really solid talent, in the US. How do you think you guys are doing that? If you don't mind me asking, what is it? What can you guys offer to someone at these levels, senior levels that you've been bringing in, who are some phenomenal people to come and work for you over anyone else?
I don't. We've talked about all the differences of the market. I actually think there are some similarities as well in terms of people, right? People are generally people, and in terms of what they aspire to have or do in their careers, right? So, a very similar story. Being PE-backed and being on a growth agenda means that if you tie your career to our mast, would hopefully be able to have kind of enjoy success together more quickly and faster than lots of other firms can give you, with the infrastructure and support of a business that is very cash generative. I think that it's a very, very big market. I think a lot of recruiters in America get stuck doing the same job over and over and over again. And given the size of the market we're talking about, I think it's not dissimilar to here. So I think it's the thing that we offer overall to people within our group. If you want to grow personally and develop your career quickly, whether that's as a biller or growing teams or being part of something that's trying to scale, I say quickly, but I think consistently, then it's a great place to be. And I think that's where we are. We've done it over here, and the larger opportunity that we see in America, if we get it right, I think the center of gravity for our business will end up being America. Not necessarily the next 4 years, but over the next 10 years, just the size of the country, the size of the market, that's where we'll end up. Faden did it, Frank did it. Both UK headquartered businesses, both very different to ours. But if you look at where their growth engines have been, it's been America.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question is, where do you see the business going now? Is it going to be really heavily invested in the US more so than other areas, just due to the opportunity? And, I was going to ask you why that would have been, but you've answered that already. So I guess ultimately for me, so, for those listening in to this podcast is, where are the growth plans at? Is it New York? Is it in Charlotte? Is there anywhere else? So where do you see the business going over those years?
Look, our international strategy isn't solely focused on America, but it is the largest part of our international growth strategy is the States. What I don't want to do is be one of those firms that have lots of different pins in the map, and I can tell my mates down the golf course how much time I spend on a plane flying around clocking up air miles. I think you've got to want to build mass. Critical mass in an office is typically 20 people plus. It's where you start to lose key man risk. We're just on the East Coast at the moment. New York, obviously, all the great things about New York in terms of size of fee, speed of market. It is so competitive. It's a very expensive place to do business, hard to hire and attract and retain good staff. But if you get it right, as the song goes, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And then Charlotte, I think, gives us the opportunity for people to still work the East Coast with those kind of clients, but a better quality of life for our staff, right? And there's other reasons why we're there. Was the fastest growing city in America. There's a lot of development going over there. Cost of living is slightly less, particularly from a housing point of view. Quality of life's excellent, but you've still got access to that tri-state market. And then after that, we'll work out where to go next, but it may end up being Texas, then probably the Midwest, and eventually we'll go to the West Coast. But I'm not in a hurry to do it. I'm in a hurry to do it properly and execute it well, rather than a rush just to have hubs everywhere and get lots of plates spinning and see how we get on.
I know you've got strong leaders in the US, Logan, but how often would you say as the as a CEO, at the top of the kind of the pile, when the business is important for you to go over to the US and actually show your face, get involved, and be hands-on? Do you reckon that for other business owners listening into this, no matter what size, that's key to the growth and the success?
Yeah, look, I think it is. I mean, this year I'll be over 4 times, potentially 5. Historically it's been 2 to 3, but we've been in a deal cycle phase where trying to get the P deal done last year and the year before burnt up a lot of time for me personally and the management team. I was ceding control within Dartmouth, and that now falls onto the management team within Dartmouth to make sure that Dartmouth runs well in the States. I'm currently running Pure and looking to build out Catalyst, so I will lead the charge on that, albeit I'll use a couple of the MDs to kind of make sure that it's their job and remit to focus on ensuring that we get it to grow. But given it's now a very important pillar of our growth, I'll spend more and more time over there personally. Over the next 18 to 24 months.
Don't fancy moving over there?
You know what? I 100% would. And family circumstances mean that we can't. Particularly around my mum. But I would move over in a heartbeat.
Would you stay in New York or Charlotte?
That's a good question. I'd personally go to New York. I'd go to New York. I'm trading a nice house for probably 1,000 square foot apartment. But I think that honestly, the thing that excites me about America, particularly New York, is if you love being in the game, and I still love being in the game, I think it's an exciting place to be. There's lots of flaws of New York. It's really expensive. It's pretty dirty. Cost of living isn't great. You're going to sacrifice fresh air unless you're living on Central Park. But if you want to be there for career reasons and speed reasons, I think it's really, really fun, actually.
Yeah.
And you can still commute. Not everyone has to live in Manhattan, right? You go and live out, I don't know, hours commute out in Pound Ridge or something like that. You can get great quality of life and just commute in. You don't have to be doing the Sex in the City, walking into the office every day. So yeah, I personally like America. The one thing I like about, there's lots of flaws with it, which we won't get into on this, but I think the one thing that I like about the American culture is that can-do attitude in terms of celebrating success, go out and stake your claim. The American dream is alive over there. And people really believe it, right? You're born into it. I think that's a fantastic attitude if you want to go and grow a business or grow your career. What a great place to be.
The culture and the vibe in the US, no matter which state you operate in or communicate in, is the same everywhere, just like that. Whereas it's a very different feel to how you kind of, I don't know if it's because, in the UK, this is where we live, this is where we're based, where we've been for our lives, but it's not the same. And the US is an exciting place and always has been. And if you've got a business that can make it over there, and you can actually get it right, then you're in a very strong position, I suppose. Do you think, Logan, last question to you, mate, is as a business that's, got the PE background aspect to it, do you think the US adds that real strong value to a company to have that there and, as part of the whole organization?
If we get it right, yes. If we get it wrong, no.
Fine. Does that change any of the plans in the future if you get it wrong?
Look, I think you've got to plan and work towards success. If we get it wrong, we'll revisit. But I think we've made good progress in the last 6 to 12 months. And if the market looks like it's getting better, I hope we've got a 2-3 year run to get this right.
Perfect. Fun.
I think, look, nothing's. There's no guarantees in life or business, are there, Elliott? So you've just got to execute what you think you can do patiently, step by step, and see where we land in the next 2 or 3 years.
Fantastic. Fine. We'll take that and finish up there. Logan, always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, mate.
If anyone's got any questions, any interest within working within the the brands of Kernel Global, or wants to talk to Logan directly for anything at all his details would be on the link that we post out on all the podcast channels. Otherwise, a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you very much. And I'm sure I'll speak to you soon anyway.
Have a great day, mate. Cheers.
You take care.